So there's several things that you have to do to take the shifter off of the car. One of which is to take the shifter cable off of the shifter. And this little pin here, which I tried to take off camera, actually clips over. There's a pin coming out of the shifter, and it just slips over it like that. It was pretty easy to take off, but very hard to find once I dropped it when I started moving wires to see what I had to do to take out the neutral safety switch, which is different because of the 4 gears and the so it has to be changed. I'm going to set this aside. And I guess I should have started reading some of the instructions because they're not very clear as usual. This is from a different company though. Read all these instructions before beginning. Remove console and shifter from car. Be careful with the wiring. The factory detente must be removed from the shifter and replaced with the ShiftWorks detente. The factory spot welds can be removed by drilling. Scribe it to mark its relation to the base. I guess the "it" is the detente. And the new ShiftWorks detente has marks scribed on it to help locate it on the base. And they show a picture of the new detente that they're giving you, but they don't show any picture of the base or where you're supposed to scribe it. Don't know what. I've got scribe marks there and there, there and there. I guess we'll see. Maybe those line up with these. They look to be about the right angles. So I can get the shift cable off of that pin now that's on the shifter. And to remove it, I need to remove a C-clip here. And this O-ring removal tool might do the job. I've used it on something else other than O-rings. I used it on the door. So this appears to just slip over the shift cable, but in order to do that, you have to remove the shift cable from the console. So I'm just going to take a second to put this clip with the other clip so they don't get lost. And the other thing that's got to be done is, since we're changing the neutral safety switch, and I have the new one here somewhere, you got to figure out where to cut these wires that go to it. There are 2 purple wires that are the actual neutral safety switch. That's what completes the circuit to your solenoid so that it kicks the starter on. So those have to come off. And then there are a pink and a green wire that are the backup lights. I want to make sure that I've got enough wire to make that connection again. I'll do it about there. Okay, so the wiring is disconnected. So much for being careful with the wiring. Next step is remove the bolts that are holding the shifter down. Do this the quick way. I think it'd be quicker to just get my tire ratchet out than it will be to do all those by hand. Should have had it out first. Could have saved a couple seconds on the video. Those are fairly long screws. Okay, so now I dropped a bolt down there. I'm going to put all 4 of them down there for now. And there's a clip that holds some wires here that is on there as well. So that's loose. We should be able to slip the cable out. And the shifter is out. On my way over to turn off the camera, I dumped some trash that was in this low spot on it out into the trash can, and I heard something clink. Almost threw away one of the mounting bolts. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the old neutral safety switch. And I had 2 tools here, although it seems like I'm going to need this ratchet. I thought I'd do it with this screwdriver type thing after I got it broken loose. Those were adjusted in about the middle. So I'm going to, when I get to the step to put the new one on, I'm going to go for about the middle as my first attempt. So there's a pin here. Hope you can see that. That pin goes inside the neutral safety switch. That's what moves it. That actually on my 74 had somehow broken off, got dislodged. I forget what the exact situation was, but I was able to get something in there to act as a pin. And where that connects on the inside of the neutral safety switch is in that little hole right there. That in fact is what moves the switch. So that's how it works. Now, they said drill out the rivets. So I'm going to just point out where those are. There appear to be two over here and two over here. See if I can. There. I'll clean that up some more. Maybe I'll run that on the wire wheel just to see if I can make them more visible for you. Okay, I'm going to try to show you where the spot welds are. Point with a pick. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. The other thing they said to do was to compare the new one with the old one and see those scribe marks. Yeah, they'll line up pretty good. So I'm going to take that over to the drill press, drill out those spot welds. And by the way, if you're new to working on cars and you're trying to set up a shop, a drill press is a really handy thing to have. Okay, what I did first with the drill press is I made a start on all these holes, and hopefully you can see them. But I got to start with the, and then I could line them up here. And I can see that I did a pretty good job there. They're lined up, and I can drill those holes out and the screws are going to fit. So even with the drill press, this is proving to be very difficult. The material is very hard, and brand new bits are struggling to cut it. So this hole kind of missed. I got this one and this one in line. And what I am going to do to ensure that I get the third one in line is I'm going to take and pop rivet this thing in place and use that as a guide to drill the hole in the proper place. So I've broken 2 bits already on the drill press, and I'm just checking to make sure this is the right size bit that I want to have going through that. And then I'm putting in aluminum pop rivets for right now, because they will be easy to remove. I can drill them out easily. I may even use pop rivets to install this finally, but if I do, I'm going to use all steel pop rivets rather than aluminum like I'm using here just to hold this in place. Now I'll use that as a guide for drilling that last hole. So I've got 3 pop rivets now in. I didn't actually use that one because it's just in there for alignment. And now I'm going to make this hole so that it is usable. When I'm done, these are aluminum rivets. I'll drill them out. I'll put in metal steel rivets on all of them, and it'll be good. Okay, so I've got all 4 holes so that the rivets will go in. Now, when I take this off and put it back on, this plate goes in the other side so that this pin hits better. But I'm going to go to the house and get some, especially this one. This one is a bigger rivet, bigger in diameter. So I'm going to get a shorter one because that's long, and this is all aluminum anyway. But I'll drill those out. I've got some of the sizes I need here. Actually, that one might work. If that's actually smaller. But I've got some of the sizes that I need here. I'm going to get the biggest ones that it will fit. And we'll rivet that in place. So I've got all the pop rivets lined up. And I'm going to one by one put a backing plate on them and fasten them. Get the backing plate in as far as I can. And don't put your hand on the plate or you'll get it off. I don't want to put these in without having them all in place. I don't want to set them because I want them to be where I know I can have a good alignment. I probably could do it with just the 2 big ones in, but I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that I've got everything lined up so that I know it will work. This last one may not stay in. It's the loosest. So I'm going to put the backing plate on there. Gotta get a good grip on this. They're falling out. Okay, the first one is at least to the point where the backing plate isn't going to fall out. I'm going to make sure I got the others lined up. Maybe I should do that with all of them, or at least the two big ones, so that they stay on. Going to use this to try to push it in. There you go. That's not the right nose piece for this. Just got to get the backing plate here. I don't think that one's going to fall out. Okay, so I've got them all in place. Wow. I used to be strong enough to set these. That one's not coming out, that's for sure. Right now, that's what I want to have happen, so kind of happy with that. There. Finally got one on all the way. I want to get the other one that's this bigger size. Yikes. I want to get the one that's bigger size set all the way. And get the what I think happens in these rivet guns is the shaft that you're trying to set it with bends inside there. And that's why it won't come out. I may have to take that nose off of there and somehow get that out. It's not even stuck in the nose. I'm going to go stick that in a vise and try to pull it out. Well, that thing was caught in there good. I couldn't pull it out in the vise. I had to actually force it through that way. And finally it came loose. Okay, second big one. Just making sure my handle moves freely. That's interesting. I think the end of the pin broke off. At any rate, it's in there tight. Can't get out. Can't win here. I'll get that one out later. I'm going to get these others popped in. I may have a piece of that shaft stuck up in the tool now. That's what it looks like. Okay, let's try the next smaller one. I think that's the size I need here. No, it's not. I need the middle size. Yep. Not grabbing the... Okay, I gotta fix my tool. Okay, took the pop rivet gun apart, put it back together. Hope it works, or I'm gonna have to make a trip to Home Depot. That worked on the small rivet, except I forgot to put the washer on it. Dang it. I don't think it's going anywhere. Okay, let's see if this comes out any better. It did, but that was a very thin one. Okay, I gotta go up to the next biggest die. This one. And let's remember to put the backing washer on this time. Looks like the one that fits. It's a little easier to say put it on than it is to put it on. Okay. The backing washer is on there pretty good. I'll hold now that I've got it squeezed a little bit. And that one's in. I'm not going to worry about not having that backing washer on the one because everything looks really solid. See if we can successfully put the last one in. Get it out of the rivet gun. I have to pull that out some or push it out some to enable me to get a hold of it. Make sure we're still in the frame here. This is the one I thought broke off inside there, so I'm not sure how successful I'm going to be. Well, it's like maybe another piece Yep, another piece broke off. It's so tight that it's breaking off, so I think I'm just going to either pound that out or cut it off. But there's the finished product. This sits in the car. That's the front. So this would be park, reverse, neutral. It might be neutral and drive, because then there's 1, 2, 3. I should say neutral and overdrive. There's 3 stops. And when I looked at the old one, there really was only 1 stop. That's interesting. You had park, reverse, neutral, and then 1 other. So that's the guide. The next thing is going to be putting on the neutral safety switch, but I've got to change my battery here. So now we're ready to put the neutral safety switch on. We're looking at this as if we're from the passenger side. And I do have the pin on the shifter in the hole. It's actually a slot on this one. I don't know if it was a slot on the other one or a hole, but it's in the part that it needs to be to move the switch. These new screws don't want to thread into this housing. Let's try an old one. Yeah. I don't know whether they're any different or not. Let's get them started. Let's get the old one started. I can't get the new one started. It must be a different diameter or different thread or something. Yep, let's go with the old ones. Those look like they're actually going to work better. And we'll tighten it down and then test to see if we can move the gear shift lever easily. I suspect we will be able to. Okay, check to make sure I have this in the frame, but the switch does move. So we're going to put it in the full forward, which is park. And in order to test our adjustment, I should have continuity between the two purple wires. And I do. So it works in park. Let's put it into reverse, which is right there. I should have continuity between the pink and the green wires because that is the backup lights. That doesn't seem to be working. Sounded like a little, sounded like the switch clicked in right there. Or maybe it's clicking out. That's neutral. So when it's neutral, I have continuity between the green and the pink wires. Based on that, I believe I need to move the switch that way quite a bit. Okay, that's reverse. Green wire, pink wire. Do not have continuity. I think I need to find a way to clamp the probes onto those wires and then move the switch until I get continuity. So I'm going to find a way to get those wires clamped on. So there's my meter. I have it in reverse. You can see that I have continuity because that does not have one. I'm going to pull it back to neutral. Goes back to 1. Back to reverse, continuity, park, no continuity, reverse, I have continuity, neutral, nothing, nothing, all these other 3 detents, nothing. Now, hopefully, we're going to switch now to the continuity on the purple wires, which are for the start only in neutral and in park. So I'm going to get this clip attached to the wire. Okay, that is in neutral right there. And you pull it back some, it goes off. I think that is overdrive. I don't think there's a detente between that. I think the shifter will stop based on the position of the actual transmission. So that would be continuity in neutral, not in overdrive, not in first, not in second, not in third, back to neutral again, not in reverse, and continuity in park. So that neutral safety switch ought to be adjusted just fine for whenever I install it in the car and hook up those wires, and we should be good to go. I just thought of an FYI. This switch is at the limit of its travel, so it's a good thing that it worked because I couldn't adjust it any further. Now to go put the shifter back in the car. So that ought to be a fairly good frame for putting the shifter back in. It's simply the opposite of how it came out. So I'm going to try not to lose my little clips. Basically, we want to make sure that we put the cable back in first. That goes all the way in there. Little C-clip holds it in. Don't know. That went in pretty well. Okay. The little hole on the cable, and you can move the shifter a little bit to make this easier. And then the clip that just presses on to hold the cable in place. Easier said than done. There you go. Clips on. And then we have our 4 bolts that hold it in. One in. Two. It's a good thing I felt that. The cable, electric wire holder, holds the wires that go to the emergency brake indicator light, or the switch for the indicator light, and the other thing it holds is the wires that go to the driver's side power window from the switch. Well, to the switch and then back to the window. So, got the 4 bolts started. to do it on camera, but the only thing left to do is I've got 4 wires here to join. Really doesn't matter which way they go because they're just completing a circuit in this switch. No big deal. But I will do that off camera. And the transmission shifter modification for the new A41 transmission is complete. Couple last comments on the shifter. I was looking at this after I finished, and notice how this is all the way to the bottom of that slot here, and this is all the way to the top. That's exactly how I had to adjust mine to get it to work properly. Second thing is, in the event that I have to change that neutral safety switch ever, I put it together with these bullet style connectors. Okay, I always put the female type on the wire that's most likely to have current in it. Okay, so in other words, this is the current going to the neutral safety switch. And then this one on the one that would be dead if it's not connected to this one. That way, if these are ever disconnected, this can hit anything at once. It's not going to short out. This, it could short out, but it's a lot less likely. Third comment is I'm very disappointed in these heat shrink connectors, especially the small ones. When you get a small wire and you try to crimp it on here, it never seems to hold it. It just falls right off. So I've wasted a number of these trying to get them to work. What I find actually has been working better for me is to cut the strip the wire a little bit longer and fold it over and use a bigger connector, and then I can crimp on it, and then when I heat shrink it, it seems to be a better connection all around. So that's it for the shifter modification for the new transmission.